When we say Thanksgiving, or you ask someone, what is a Thanksgiving, you're going to be sure that we get these answers. We are thankful to God for sending His Son. Like, that's one of the biggest blessings. Like, God becomes man, God becomes human being. He comes on this planet, which is one of the greatest blessings we actually cannot fathom. Even the Jews had this tremendous difficulty to accept, like, how is it that God can become man?
Yeah.
Like, how can Jesus walk on the earth as a man? I mean, how can he be God? But that's truly one of the greatest blessings. And it is incarnation, his life that he lived, he thought he lived, his death, his resurrection. And we thank the Lord for all these things, because it is through this life of Jesus that we are incorporated into the church. But we also need to understand that it goes even more deeper than that. When we look at the actions of Jesus, or we look at the Jewish faith, we're going to realize that, oh gosh, this Thanksgiving goes so much deeper. Let's take, for example, one of the sacrifices that the Jews celebrated among the many sacrifices was the Torah sacrifice. Now, what's the Torah sacrifice? The Torah sacrifice is actually giving thanks because God has saved us from something. So I'm going to die, or this tremendous suffering was about to come upon me, or I'm at battle and like I was wounded and someone could have killed me, but I got saved. God saved me. For the Jews and for the Israelites, God was the core of everything they did. So God saved me. So you would come back and you would offer a sacrifice. So sacrifice involved two things, especially two things, in fact. It involved the sacrifice of a lamb, and it involved unleavened bread. So you would have the sacrifice of the lamb, and then you would come back and celebrate. You would celebrate with your family with using unleavened bread, the saving act of God. Now, one of the things that the Jews celebrated this, or one of the places, was at the foot of Sinai, where Moses took the elders up to the mountain. The lamb was already sacrificed back in Egypt, and now they celebrated where they ate and they drank. You take this forward to the act of Jesus. Jesus at the Last Supper, he gives thanks. He broke the bread and he gave thanks. What thanks did he give? Why do you give thanks? Jesus gave thanks in anticipation. He gave thanks that God will save him. He's going to die, but God will raise him up. Yeah. So he is giving thanks in anticipation. He's saying, God, I believe that you're going to save me. He will become the sacrifice. But there he will eat and he will drink. He will celebrate what God is going to do for him, has not yet done. And that's something that actually we can learn from the act of Jesus. He gives thanks even before God has acted. He stands at the tomb of Lazarus, and I love this prayer. He says, Father, I thank you that you hear me. But the Father has not yet heard him.
Yeah,
He's not made the request. He says, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. Jesus gives thanks even before it happens. So Jesus at the Last Supper gives thanks even before it happens. And we learn that from Jesus. Say, I want something in my life. I can be praying, say, for a healing. God desires to give me healing. I've not seen the healing yet. But when I go to pray, I say, Lord, I thank you that you have healed me. The healing is on the way. It's coming. Or my body is now beginning to heal. But I'm saying, Lord, I thank you that you've healed me. I am thanking the Lord for the blessings that he has already promised. And now, we don't just say thank you in our personal prayer. But if we can, we take this thanks and we bring it to the Eucharist. We bring it to the Eucharist simply because the Eucharist is Jesus' act of thanksgiving. It is the greatest act of thanksgiving. And so we take our thanksgiving and we bring it to the thanksgiving of Jesus and we offer it to the Lord. So Eucharist as a thanksgiving is, yes, one, it is thanking the Lord for all the wonderful things he's done, beginning from his love for us, the life of Jesus, his passion, death, resurrection, for all the things he's done for us. But is also thanking the Lord for the life that he is going to give us, the blessings that he is going to give us, well in anticipation. It's like the Jews didn't know, people didn't know what God's going to do. But you thank the Lord, you praise the Lord. Like, what are you going to do? I don't know. Like Abraham is sent. God, what are you going to do for me? No, you go. So we're thanking the Lord in anticipation, thanking the Lord in faith. So the Eucharist becomes that hope. It becomes the hope based on faith, where we, thank the Lord and give him glory and everything for the things he's done for us.
Yeah, in line with what Rolwin is trying to say, I also am reminded of one of the brothers who are studying currently in the seminary. So during the charismatic prayer, he shared with all of us that whatever happens in his life, he just thanks God. So whether he's in suffering, whether he's in joy or pain, so in each and every circumstance, he thanks God. So that's what has been the secret for his happiness also. Because sometimes what we are so much worried about the things that are happening to us, we are so anxious about the things that are going to happen to us in the future. So it's always good to keep in mind, as you said, very much linked to the Thanksgiving. So even Jesus himself thanked God the Father before he could perform any miracle, because Jesus was so sure that God is going to help him. God is going to give him the grace to perform the miracle. So this really now I could connect the dots right now, where we always need to thank God regardless of whatever happens in our life.